Dussehra or Vijayadashami, a festival that is more than just a celebration. It is the living heartbeat of a civilization. Every year, as the monsoon clouds retreat and the autumn sun begins to shine gently on the golden fields of India, millions of people gather with lamps, devotion, and stories in their hearts. They celebrate the triumph of dharma over adharma, truth over falsehood, light over darkness. But why do we celebrate Dussehra? Is it merely because Lord Rama defeated Ravana? Or is it only because Goddess Durga destroyed Mahishasura? Or is there something much deeper, a reminder that every soul must face its own Ravana, its own Mahishasura, and rise victorious in the battlefield of life? To truly understand Dussehra, we must go back, far back into Itihasas and Puranas, to the stories that gave birth to this day. Long before the age of kingdoms and empires, there was Ayodhya, the prosperous city of King Dasharatha. The people lived in joy, dharma prevailed, and the king had everything: wealth, power, glory, except the one blessing he longed for: children. Through a divine yajna, the Putrakamesti, the gods blessed Dasharatha with 4 sons: Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, and Satrughna. Rama, the eldest, shone like the sun, a symbol of dharma itself. He was trained in the arts of war and wisdom, but above all, he was known for his humility, truthfulness, and compassion. In due time, Rama married Sita, the daughter of King Janaka, a princess born of the earth, symbol of purity and strength. Their union was a union of dharma and shakti, a cosmic balance that would soon face trials beyond imagination. The story that led us to Dussehra begins not with celebration but with sorrow. When Rama was to be crowned king, destiny took a sharp turn. Queen Kaikeyi, influenced by the scheming words of her mate Mandara, demanded that her son Bharata would be crowned instead of Rama, and Rama would be sent into exile for 14 years. Dasharatha, torn between love for his son and the shackles of his promise, granted her the wish. Rama, without a trace of anger, accepted his fate. Sita chose to accompany him, and Lakshmana, his devoted brother, followed as well. Thus began their journey into the forest, a journey that would one day culminate in the great battle of Lanka, the battle we remember as Dussehra. Years passed in exile, and the trio lived in harmony with sages, rishis, and the forests themselves. But their pace was not to last. Far away in the golden kingdom of Lanka ruled Ravana, the 10-headed king, son of a rishi, blessed with immense knowledge but consumed by arrogance and desire. Ravana was no ordinary being. He was a great scholar of the Vedas, a master of music, and a mighty warrior. Yet he was blindfolded by the pride. His 10 heads symbolized not wisdom, but uncontrolled desires, unchecked ego, unbridled greed, and raging anger. When his sister, the demoness Shurpanaka, was humiliated by Rama and Lakshmana after she tried to tempt and threaten them, Ravana's pride was wounded. To avenge her and to fulfill his own desire, he devised a plan to abduct Sita. With the help of the demon Maricha, who disguised himself as a golden deer, Ravana lured Rama and Lakshmana away. In their absence, he came disguised as a sage and kidnapped Sita, carrying her away to Lanka in his flying chariot Pushpaka Vimana. Sita's abduction was not just the theft of a queen, it was the challenge of adharma against dharma, ego against righteousness. It set the stage for the greatest war the world would ever witness, a war that would end on the day we now celebrate as Dussehra. When Rama and Lakshmana returned and discovered that Sita was gone, grief engulfed them. But Rama was not one to surrender to despair. With determination, he began his search. Along the way, destiny brought him to the Vanara kingdom, where he met Sugriva and mighty Hanuman. Sugriva had been ousted from his throne by his brother Vali. Rama helped Sugriva regain his kingdom, and in return, Sugriva pledged his army for Rama's cause. It was here that Hanuman, the son of Vayu, became the greatest devotee of Rama. With unshakable faith, courage, and strength, Hanuman leapt across the ocean to Lanka and found Sita in the Ashokavana and delivered Rama's message to her. He set fire to Lanka, returned with the news, and ignited the flames of the coming war. Soon Rama, Lakshmana, Sugriva, Hanuman, and the vast Vanara army marched towards Lanka. They built a bridge across the ocean, the mighty Ramasetu, with the help of the ocean's blessings and the devotion of countless beings. The battle that followed was fierce, cosmic, and decisive. Giants clashed with giants, warriors faced demons, and the earth itself shook with the thunder of war. Kumbhakarna, Ravana's giant brother, was slain. Indrajit, Ravana's valiant son, fell to Lakshmana's arrows. At last, the moment came when Rama and Ravana stood face to face, dharma and adharma, light and darkness against each other. Ravana, despite his arrogance, was no ordinary enemy. He was the master of weapons, protected by boons, and endowed with extraordinary powers. But he had one fatal flaw. His arrogance has blinded him to the truth of dharma. Rama, with calm focus and divine strength, invoked the Brahmastra, a celestial weapon gifted by the gods. With steady hands and unwavering faith, he released the arrow and it pierced Ravana's heart. The 10 heads fell silent. The mighty roar of Lanka's king ended in stillness, and the world witnessed the triumph of good over evil. That day, the 14th year of exile ended. That day, Dharma was restored. That day became immortal in our memory as Vijayadashami, the day of victory. But let us pause here. Dussehra is not only about Rama killing Ravana, it is about the eternal truth that within each of us there is a battle. Ravana is not only an external figure, he lives within us in the form of anger, pride, greed, lust, jealousy, delusion, and ego. Each of his 10 heads is a reminder of 10 vices that chain the human soul. And each year, when we burn his effigies, it is not just a ritual, it is a reminder to burn these vices within ourselves. As Rama's arrow pierced Ravana's heart, we too must pierce through the darkness of ignorance with the arrow of wisdom, courage, and devotion. This is why Dussehra is celebrated, to remind us that Dharma may face trials, but in the end it always wins. We have seen the story of Lord Rama, how Dharma triumphed in Lanka with the fall of Ravana. But Dussehra is not only about Rama. Across India, another great story echoes during this time, the story of Goddess Durga's battle with Mahishasura. This tale comes from Devi Mahatmya, also known as the Durga Saptashati or Chandi Pata, found within the Markandeya Purana. It is one of the most profound depictions of the eternal struggle between light and darkness, divine order and demonic chaos. Once there was a powerful Asura named Mahishasura. His form was strange and terrifying. Part human, part buffalo, he possessed immense strength, a raging temper, and above all, an insatiable thirst of power. Mahishasura was not always a mighty conqueror. He was once an ambitious demon who sought supremacy over the three worlds. To achieve this, he performed severe tapasya, meditating with unwavering focus to please Lord Brahma, the creator himself. After years of penance, Brahma appeared before him and asked, "What boon do you seek?" Without hesitation, Mahishasura said, "Grant me immortality. Let no man, no deva, no asura ever be able to kill me." Brahma, bound by the laws of creation, replied, "No being can be granted absolute immortality. Ask for something else." Mahishasura thought carefully. In his arrogance, he believed women were weak and no threat to him. So he said, "Then let me be invincible against all men, devas, and asuras. If I am to fall, let it only be at the hands of a woman." Brahma granted this boon, and so Mahishasura rose with unstoppable force. With Brahma's blessing, Mahishasura unleashed terror upon the three worlds. He defeated armies of devas, captured Indra's throne, and declared himself the lord of heaven, earth, and the underworld. The devas, once radiant with power, now wandered helplessly. Their palaces burned, their temples desecrated, their authority shattered. The asuras rejoiced, and the world sank into despair. The gods turned to Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, the Trimurti, for help. They cried out, O lords of creation, preservation, and destruction, save us from this tyranny. None among us can defeat him. His boon makes him invincible. The three mighty deities closed their eyes. A profound silence filled the cosmos. From their anger and their divine energy emerged a radiant light, a light brighter than 1,000 suns. This light spread in all directions, and from it emerged a form that has never been seen before. From the combined energies of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and from the powers of all other gods, arose the Supreme Shakti, Mata Durga. Her form was resplendent beyond description. She had 10 arms, each carrying the weapon of a god. Shiva's trident, Vishnu's chakra, Indra's thunderbolt, Vayu's bow and arrow, Varuna's conch, Agni's flaming spear, Yama's sword, Kubera's mace, Surya's radiant shield, and from the Himalayas a lion to be her mount. Her face was calm yet fierce. Her eyes blazed like fire. Her beauty was overwhelming and her power was limitless. She was Shakti, the divine feminine, the mother of the universe, the very energy that sustains creation. When the Devas beheld her, they bowed in reverence. The heavens trembled as she let out a mighty roar that shook the mountains and seas. Mahishasura, seated proudly on Indra's throne, heard this roar. He laughed, mocking the sound. Who dares to challenge me? Who dares to disturb my rule? When his spies told him that a woman, radiant and terrible, had appeared, Mahishasura burst into laughter. A woman? Do gods think a woman can defeat me? With arrogance, he sent his generals and armies of asuras to capture her. But Durga, riding her lion, faced them with unshakable courage. With her weapons, she destroyed thousands in moments. The earth quaked, the skies thundered, and the rivers of fire flowed across the battlefield. The Asuras fell, one after the another, crushed under her divine wrath. Yet Mahishasura remained unshaken. Mahishasura himself entered the battlefield. His form shifted from buffalo to lion, from elephant to a man, from demon to a beast, changing constantly, confusing and terrifying all who opposed him. But Durga was unmoved. With each form he took, she matched him with equal force. At one point, Mahishasura charged in his buffalo form, his hooves shaking the earth, his breath like storm winds. He gored the lion with his horns, toppled mountains, and uprooted trees. But Durga leapt upon him, and with her trident she struck him, pinning him to the ground. With her foot she pressed upon his chest, holding him despair with her immense power. As he struggled, half emerging in human form, she pierced his heart with her spear. With one final roar that echoed across the worlds, Mahishasura fell. The Devas rejoiced, the heavens rained flowers, the gods sang hymns, light returned to the universe. Thus, Durga became Mahishasura Mardini, the slayer of the Mahishasura. This victory is not merely a tale of a goddess defeating a demon. It is a symbol of the eternal truth that arrogance, ego, and oppression cannot stand before the Divine Mother. The boon that Mahishasura thought would make him invincible became his downfall, for he had underestimated the power of Shakti. Durga is not just a goddess, she is the inner strength within all of us. She is the power that awakens when we face oppression, injustice, or the darkness within our own hearts. And it is this victory of Durga that we also celebrate during Navaratri, culminating in Vijayadashami, also known as Dussehra. The true great victories resembles two eternal reminders. Rama teaches us that dharma, when tested, always rises victorious against adharma. Durga Devi teaches us that Shakti, when invoked, can shatter the mightiest of evils. And so on Dussehra, we celebrate both the masculine force of righteousness and the feminine force of divine power. Together, they keep the balance of the universe. But the story of Dussehra stretches even further. Beyond Rama, beyond Durga, this festival carries the echoes of many other legends. One of the most beautiful legends associated with Dussehra comes from the Mahabharata. After losing the kingdom in the deceitful game of dice, the Pandavas were forced into exile for 13 years. 12 years in the forest, followed by 1 year in disguise. If discovered during the 13th year, their exile would extend. When the final year of exile approached, the Pandavas hid their divine weapons: the Gandiva bow of Arjuna, the mace of Bhima, the swords and spears of Nakula and Sahadeva, and the mighty weapons of Yudhishthira under a Shami tree. They disguised themselves and entered the court of King Virata, each serving in humble roles. Time passed, the 13th year was ending. On the day of Vijayadashami, Arjuna returned to the Shami tree, offered prayers, and retrieved the weapons. That very day, he revealed his identity and defeated the Kaurava army that had attacked Virata's kingdom. This victory of Pandavas on Vijayadashami becomes symbolic, a reminder that weapons, when used for dharma, become instruments of victory. Since then, people in many parts of India worship weapons, tools, and even books on this day. It is not only about preparing for war, but about honoring the instruments of knowledge, livelihood, and dharma in our lives. This ritual is known as Shami Puja or Ayudha Puja. In South India, artisans worship their tools, students honor their books, warriors revere their weapons. It is the recognition that everything we use in life can become sacred if dedicated to dharma. Ravana was a king of Lanka, a mighty ruler, a scholar of Vedas, yet his greatness was destroyed by his 10 heads. These 10 heads are not just physical, they are symbolic. They represent the 10 vices that live within every human being: kama, lust; krodha, anger; lobha, greed; moha, delusion; mada, pride; matsarya, jealousy; ahankara, ego; amanvata, inhumanity; anyaya, injustice; and adharma, unrighteousness. When these 10 dominate the mind, even the wisest fall, as Ravana did. So when we bury the effigy of Ravana on Dussehra, we are not merely destroying a demon from an epic, we are symbolically destroying the Ravana within us. The flames remind us, do not let these heads rise again. Cut them off with arrows of wisdom, devotion, and self control. And what of Mahishasura? He was the buffalo demon, stubborn, forceful, and unpredictable. His shape kept changing, shifting from a man to beast, never steady. Inside us too lives a Mahishasura, the stubborn ego that refuses to bow, the restless mind that changes forms, chasing desires, resisting discipline. Durga's victory is not just a story of goddesses slaying a demon, it is the victory of a clarity over confusion, discipline over restlessness, humility over arrogance. When we worship Durga during Navaratri and celebrate her victory on Dussehra, we are invoking her within us, awakening the Shakti that can tame the wild buffalo of the ego. Have you ever wondered why the effigies of Ravana are made so tall? In some places they rise 30, 40, even 50 feet high. It is because evil often appears towering, frightening, impossible to defeat. But the moment the arrow of truth strikes, it collapses in an instant. The effigy burns not only for spectacle but for reflection. As the fire devours Ravana, can I burn my own pride and anger? As the head fall, can I let go of jealousy and greed? As the ashes scatter, can I purify my heart? The burning is not just outside, it must happen within. In the south, during Ayuda Puja, people worship their instruments. Farmers their plows, artisans their hammers, students their books, musicians their veenas. Why? Because every tool we hold is a weapon in battle of life. If misused, it can cause destruction. If sanctified, it can bring victory. The bow of Arjuna, the mace of Bhima, the sword of knowledge, the plough of the farmer, all are equally divine when used with dharma. Dussehra teaches us to respect what we hold in our hearts, to remember that our actions, like weapons, must always be aligned with righteousness. Dussehra is also called as Vijayadashami, the 10th day of victory. Why the 10th? Because 9 is the number of struggle, preparation, and effort, while 10 is completion, balance, and fulfillment. The 9 nights of Navaratri symbolize the 9 steps of inner purification: devotion, discipline, wisdom, courage, humility, strength, patience, clarity, and surrender. On the 10th day, victory is attained. Victory does not mean destroying others. True Vijayadashami is the victory of self mastery. What does Dussehra teach us in our modern lives? That no matter how strong a dharma seems, it will eventually fall. That arrogance and pride, however mighty, carry the seed of their own destruction. That dharma may face exile as Rama did, but it will return stronger than before. That the feminine Shakti, often underestimated, is the very force that sustains creation, that our own minds are battlefields, and each day we must fight our Ravana and Mahishasura within. When a student overcomes laziness to study sincerely, that is Vijayadashami. When a worker resists corruption and chooses honesty, that is Vijayadashami. When a family forgives past anger and unites in love, that is Vijayadashami. When a seeker conquers doubt and surrenders to truth, and that is real Vijayadashami. The Mahabharata says life itself is a Kurukshetra, a battlefield where dharma and adharma fight constantly. Dussehra reminds us that this battle is not once in history but always in the present. Ravana did not die thousands of years ago. He rises again and again wherever arrogance and hatred grow. Mahishasura did not vanish in the ancient times. He returns in every stubborn ego, in every unjust ruler, in every restless mind. And Rama and Durga and Dharma, they too rise again and again through the strength of the righteous, through the courage of the pure hearted, through the devotion of those who refuse to bow to the evil. For each of us, Dussehra whispers, burn your Ravana of pride, defeat your Mahishasura of laziness, light the lamp of wisdom, begin a new life with courage. It is no accident that schools often start new classes or children begin their first lessons on Vijayadashami, Vidyarambham in Kerala. It signifies that the path of learning and wisdom is the greatest victory one can seek. And so, my friends, as the effigies of Ravana burn and fireworks light the night sky, let us not see it as the end of a drama, but a renewal of a vow that we will not let darkness rule us, a vow that will choose dharma in the small decisions of daily life, a vow that every year, every Dussehra, we will become a little more like Rama, steadfast, compassionate, and victorious. For the true prosperity of a society, it is not in its wealth, but it is in its values. The true renewal of a nation is not in its buildings, but in its hearts. Dussehra calls us to that higher victory. May this Dussehra be not only be a festival you celebrate, but a light that guides your journey, a journey of renewal, of prosperity, and of dharma. This is the Gita Journal. Follow for such more epic tales.